Hi everybody, it is Nat from Sonic Arts here, and in this tutorial I'm going to show you how I made this trap beat in Garageband very quickly, very simply and very easily without really even using much of a MIDI keyboard. For the most part we used the mouse to pencil in these beats, and this is my simple and easy method that I use to make trap beats, and you have a high degree of control over them because we're just using the mouse to pencil in MIDI. And this is really great if you're a beginner or intermediate or even advanced user. You can see how I would go about making some beats. Make sure you watch it through to the end, and I'll give you some more information about where you can get some fantastic samples to make your compositions a little bit more interesting. So what I'm going to do is I've got GarageBand. Let's have a look at the version that we've got. So it's 10.2.0, so it's pretty recent. I think they've only just put out 10.3.0. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new session. Actually, I'm going to save what I just did there. I was mucking around making some trap beats, but I'm going to start from scratch. Now there's a few options you can have here. This tutorial is as much for regular intermediate to advanced users as it is for complete beginners, so I'm just going to go through a few simple things. You can start with an empty project, which is what I normally do, but GarageBand also gives you a few different sort of preset layouts for your tracks. So I find it easy just to jump onto this hip hop one here because it gives you a few handy tracks to work with. And what it does, it'll give you a drum track with a beat machine on there, and then a whole bunch of other preset kind of electronic tracks. I've got a piano sound here. I've actually got a MIDI keyboard hooked up, but I'm not going to really be using that for this tutorial. So if I actually play this, let's have a quick listen. Well, they've given us a preset here on this, they call it trapdoor, so I'm assuming it's going to be a trappy kind of beat. Okay, so that's using drummer. So it's like a drum machine, and you can kind of alter all these kind of parameters, but I prefer not to use the drum machines. I like to go and use MIDI. If you don't know what MIDI is, I'll show you exactly what that is. So I'm going to just mute this track. Actually, I'm going to delete it altogether. Just going to delete the track. Yep. And then I want to create my own track, so I'm going to hit this little plus here, and I'm going to select software instrument. And it's just probably going to give me a default electronic piano or something. There it is. So this is our new track that I've just created. I'm going to grab that and click and hold and drag it up to the top. Now, I like using MIDI because it gives you a much finer control, and you can do pretty much anything you want. So first of all, we need some kind of drum preset. So I'm going to go over to the left. If you can't see this here, the library, you need to click on this little library button. It opens and closes it. Pretty sure, I'm not sure what the shortcut key for that is these days, but anyway, if you go to view, it's Y, so if you hit the Y, it'll hide and show the library there. And let's look at what we've got. Where's our drums? Electronic drum kit. Let's choose trapdoor. So there we go. So that, now that I've clicked on that, it's automatically loaded that preset. Now what I want to do is we're going to just go for a simple 2-bar loop. So see this little region up the top here? I've just hovered over the corner of it until it's turned into a little parenthesis there, and a bracket rather. And I can actually click and hold this and make it smaller. This is my loop region, and I can turn it on and off by clicking on it, on the actual region, or clicking on this little loop cycle thing here. So I'm just going to make this into a 2-bar loop just to make things simple. I'm going to right click on this sort of empty space on this drum track and go create empty MIDI region. And now this is a MIDI region. This is like a blank canvas that we can start drawing our beat into. And you'll notice I can make it bigger and smaller also by going on the edge. If you go on the top half on the edge, it loops this region. We don't want that. We want to go on the bottom half, which will actually expand this region to make it out 2 bars. And if we double click on the top light green element of that, it's going to open up the piano roll down the bottom. Now this represents, if we had a MIDI keyboard plugged in, this would represent that keyboard. But we can actually click on this. Up the top there are no samples loaded. Usually with drum machines you'll find that the samples are loaded down the bottom end of the keyboard. So I'm going to go down. Here we go. Now we can hear these samples. So this is MIDI piano roll here, and we can easily draw in MIDI data by holding down the command button, and it will turn into a little pencil here. So I will actually just zoom in a little bit closer, and I'm going to go over to the right hand side, and just, you've got this little sort of slider here. This is the zoom slider. You can zoom in so we can get a bit finer. I'm just going to try and get those 2 bars all the way out. We can actually hide this library now that we're not really using it at the moment. That'll give us a bit more finer control. So let's have a look here. Now let's find a kick drum. I'm just going to start constructing a beat using the samples that we've got here. There's a good trappy sounding snare. There's a nice sub. So I'm going to hold down the command button and just click. And it's created a note there. It's a bit longer than I wanted it to be. So what have we got the time quantize on? So I'm just going to call it 1/8 notes. We won't really worry about that too much because I'm just going to use this little side edge here to snap that in. See up the top here we've got 2 bars, and then if I actually pop the metronome on, which is this little metronome, we'll hear a click on the 1, 2, 3, 4. 3, 4. Because I use this preset, it's also set this to 75 beats per minute. So trap is generally usually around sort of the 70 to 80 beats per minute, even a bit slower. And sometimes when I'm making trap, I like to set this to 150, so I double it so I have even finer control. In this instance, I'll just keep this at 75 because I want to keep this pretty quick and pretty simple. So I'm just going to start drawing in kicks. There's one. And a really handy tip is if you hold down the option button first and then click and drag a note, it'll actually make a duplicate of that note. So I'm just drawing in notes now. Find that nice trap snare. All right. And I'm just going to zoom in on this end bit here, and what we can do is make these notes half size, and if I want I can sort of grab that one and make it a double note by holding down that option button, and then I can quantize that over here to a 16th note. But that just pretty much does the start of the note. These are all sort of quantized settings, and if you've got a note that's like not quite on the beat, it will snap it to the closest one of these increments when you hit that cue. See how that note just moved back there? So that can be quite handy. So I'm going to try and snap that. Let's have a look. 32. I'm going to turn off this loop region temporarily by clicking on it and then clicking on this green region here to bring the slider over. Okay, so I'm just going to keep constructing this beat really quickly and going through the different sounds. I'll pop this loop back on. Let's get a hi-hat going. The hi-hats are pretty important in sort of trap style beats, so let's find a good hi-hat. Okay. So let's just do a little option drag there. Quantize these by hitting that Q. And I'm just going to keep grabbing some of these notes here. And then if I don't get them bang on, I'm going to just use that Q to snap them on. So I'm going to make that really trappy sounding thing by using tiny little increments here. See if I can make some triplet-y sounding things here. So triplet is like 3 notes in the space of 2. So if I was to do this properly, here's 2 notes. And then we've put 3 in the space of 2 roughly. I'm just using my eyes here to sort of get a bit of an idea. I've done some duplicates here. And then I'm going to just select all these, hold option and drag that over. I'm going to grab these little guys here. See what this sounds like. I'm not really a fan of that. Let's just try this. Do these 32 notes here. So let's copy this one over, hit the Q. Alright, so now I've got that 1 bar. I'm not going to go too far into these hi-hats. I usually spend a bit more time trying to get these right, but let's have a listen to some of these other sounds. It's kind of nice. I like that shaker. Yeah, I'm not sure if I'd like that too much. Let's try that again. Let's see if we can add any other elements in here. Okay, that'll do for the moment. It's not a hit, but hey, this is just a little tutorial for you. So one thing that is really important with these, when you're making a beat, is you see everything's the same color here, which means it's the same velocity. It's all 84 velocity. So if there's a particular sound that you want a bit quieter, like that sound there, you can just select it all by dragging a box around it and then reducing the velocity down, and you'll hear that the volume's a lot quieter. Okay, nice. Oops. And that sound there, I want to bring that down a little bit. Okay, now we've got a basic trap beat. What we can do is we can actually grab the top corner of that. I'll turn this loop region off, and this will just loop what we've got as far as we want. When I tend not to use the loop. I tend to copy and paste. Command C, Command V, the region, and that way it just gives me more control when I'm arranging. If I want to, say, cut out a bit at the start here, or I can actually go in and edit just this one region here if I want to get rid of the kick drum on that one, so I can have like a little break at the start. And then from here, basically, this deep sub bass is pretty good for trap. So I'm going to right click on here and do the same thing. It's create an empty MIDI region. I'm going to make this 2 bars long, and then double click on the green if you haven't got the piano roll open. And we'll go down. We'll make this one in C. Make it easy. And then do the same thing. Hold Command to get the little pencil up. And we're going to draw in a bass line. I just use the Option button to duplicate that. So have a listen to this, and if I'm not sure about the timing, I can just select them all and hit this Q for quantize and snaps it all. Let's loop that again. Okay, so now we've got the basic elements, and I can just grab this and do a Command C, and then now we've got this duplicate there, Command V. You see that it goes to wherever that playhead is, so I can actually snap that on that bar. If I hit Command V, it'll appear there. So that's the basic trap beat, and you know, from there you can build. Usually I like to record some of my own custom samples or get some field recordings, or just have a hunt through all of these different leads and pads and different sounds like this. You can add any kind of thing here, so I might have a look here under pads, just have a listen to a few of these. See if I can find anything nice. So in this particular instance, I'm not going to continue this tutorial much further. I'm just going to add a few extra elements really quickly using my keyboard to show you what you can actually do. So I'm going to just record this in. So that's not amazing, so I'm going to do that again because I hit some wrong notes. So there we go, and then what that's done is it's actually looped that automatically for me, but I just want the little bit that I played, so that's up to here. There we go. I'm going to copy and paste that, and then if I want, I could play in, I don't know, whatever I wanted, a bit of piano. That's nice. I might give it a bunch of reverb. So that was just a little bit of free-form performance by me on the keyboard, and if you're not a keyboard player, it's a really handy skill to learn, even basic keyboard skills, but there are plenty of websites such as splice.com that you can get some fantastic samples of other people playing piano and any other instrument you can imagine. I use Splice quite a lot, and they're all royalty free because you pay a small subscription to get samples off there each month, but you're free to use them commercially and release them. It's better if you can play in your own pieces though. It makes it a much more original and, you know, much more your own thing. So I hope you enjoyed that tutorial, everybody. Making some trap beats in Garageband, and if you found this helpful, make sure you subscribe to the channel and check out sonicarts.com.au. Join our mailing list and I'll send you samples and all sorts of cool things every month. So we'll see you in the next tutorial. Thanks everyone.